You're looking for a UPS that just works, something you can plug in, let it protect your gear, and forget about it, while still feeling safe that the investment you've made in servers, networking gear, or home lab isn't going to go up in smoke the moment the power flickers. The hesitation most people feel is real. You see a wall of specs: 5kVA, pure sine wave, 250 insurance, and wonder if any of that actually translates into everyday peace of mind, or if you're just paying for a fancy spec sheet. And the last thing you want is to spend a few $100s on a unit that either trips on a minor overload or sits idle while a brownout takes down your critical equipment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I started digging into the Tripp Lite SU5000RTF, the first thing that stood out was the built-in 120V step-down transformer. For anyone running a typical IT rack that's been wired for 208V three-phase power, that transformer eliminates the need for a separate converter box. In practice, that means you can pull a standard 120V server or a network switch straight into the UPS without worrying about a mismatch, and you keep the whole rack tidy. That's a real time saver for small to medium businesses or power-hungry home labs where you don't want to hunt down a separate transformer for each piece of equipment. The core of the unit is an online double conversion topology. Unlike line interactive models that ride the wave of the incoming power and only kick in when there's a serious dip, the double conversion design continuously converts incoming AC to DC and back to AC. The practical payoff shows up the moment the lights flicker during a storm. Your servers stay on a perfectly clean sine wave, no hiccups, no reboot cycles. I've watched a 12-bay rack of virtualization hosts stay up through a neighborhood outage that lasted just under a minute, and the UPS kept them humming without a single warning beep. For anyone whose SLA demands zero downtime, that constant regulation is the biggest value driver. Now, let's talk about the 21 outlets. They are a mix of C13 and C19 connectors, and the layout lets you group similar loads together. Think storage arrays on one bank, networking gear on another, and the occasional 120V monitor on the side. In a real-world scenario, I've seen a small office use the unit to protect a desktop, a VoIP phone system, a NAS, and a couple of 120V UPS-backed routers, all without needing extra power strips. The pure sine wave output also means those sensitive devices that have power factor correction won't throw errors, which you sometimes see with cheaper simulated sine wave units. One of the hidden trade-offs is the size and weight. This is a 6U rack mount unit that weighs close to 150 pounds. It's not something you'll lift with one hand and shove under a desk. If you're planning a portable setup or a cramped rack where every half U counts, you'll need to account for that footprint. The good news is the front panel is serviceable without pulling the whole thing out of the rack, which eases maintenance for data center techs. Battery runtime is another practical point. The extended run kit isn't included, but the base unit ships with enough battery to give you roughly 8 to 10 minutes at a half load, which is typical for this class. In my testing, a half-loaded rack, about 2 kilowatts, gave me close to 9 minutes before the battery hit the low-voltage alarm. That's enough time to gracefully shut down a few virtual machines, or to wait for a generator to kick in. If you need longer hold-up times, Tripp Lite sells extra battery modules, but they add to the overall cost, so you have to decide if that extra insurance is worth it for your use case. Speaking of insurance, the $250,000 coverage is a nice safety net for equipment loss due to power events, but it's more of a legal reassurance than a functional feature. It won't affect how the UPS behaves during a blackout, but if you have a policy that references the UPS's coverage level, it could simplify claims. Who should buy this? If you run a small server room, a home lab with multiple 120V devices, or a branch office where you can't afford a full-blown data center UPS, the SU5000RTF hits a sweet spot. It gives you enterprise-grade power conditioning without the sky-high price tag of a multi-megawatt system. The built-in transformer and network management card also make remote monitoring painless, which is essential if you're not physically present to stare at LEDs. Who should skip it? If you're only looking to protect a single desktop or a modest home entertainment system, you're overpaying. A smaller line interactive unit would handle a single PC and a TV just fine and would be far lighter. Likewise, if you run a large data center with multiple megawatts of load, you'll need a higher capacity, modular UPS that can scale beyond 5 kVA, and you'll probably be looking at a solution with hot swap batteries built into the rack. In terms of weaknesses, the biggest complaint I've